Look at this. The Azeroth revamp video. I kind of want to see this. Blizzard will revamp Azeroth.
The big revamp. Weeks ago, we went the distance. You all saw the evidence. Remade assets sitting unused in the game's files.
Yep.
Moreover, the story is ready. Old Azeroth cries out. 11.0, 12.0, could be either of them. I mean, if
it does look like, let's be real, right? These guys kind of look a bit out of place compared to everything else. You know, like they look a bit like, ooh.
I mean, if it launches November 2024, then it would be World of Warcraft's 10th expansion launching on the game's 20th anniversary. That is fairly big. But beyond timing, it is clear the Blizzard are
really
doing
nice.
heavy lifting for something
like
big. Something that they're trying to set up. And with WoW changing the way that it has, we in many ways know what a revamp will look like.
Yeah.
And it's became clear.
I think that Blizzard doesn't need a revamp, they need a reset. They need to reset fucking everything. There's just too much shit in the game. There's too many pets, too many toys, too many mounts, too many spells, too many zones, too many NPCs, too many items, too many transmogs, too many weapons, too many shields, too many fucking raid bosses, too many effects, too many, like, there's just too many everything. It's a 15-year-old game, you need to reset it.
There are 3 ways that Blizzard will be able to do it. All of which are made better by our sponsor. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code BELLULAR16 for 16 free meals.
What's the difference between a lemon and a lime?
Plus free shipping.
Are lemons
Their
like
meal kit
genetically
service is
engineered?
awesome. They help you stay healthy, learn to cook, and taste fun new foods. And of course, for us, now that the game's out and a whole bunch of other work is done, I am 100% in fix my body mode. It's very important to me. And that means no fast food, no processed food,
What?
and of course they help me with that goal.
The fuck?
Home cooking, though, and tracking your macros can be a pain in the ass. And the good news is, with HelloFresh, you have full nutritional info, which makes counting all of that super easy, and they've got a range of dietitian-approved meals that are under 700 calories with a third of the sodium, which is great. And then there's the money side. I mean, honestly, for me, with how prices are right now, cheaper than groceries. You're not left buying a bunch of ingredients and paying for a bunch of ingredients that you don't need because you only need a tiny number of them for whatever your meal is. That saves you money. It saves you clutter in your house.
Why they're green?
They're
Get
so
that
much
shit out of
cheaper
there.
than fast food. I mean, the price of a Deliveroo for 2 in Belfast, let's just say a curry
Bro,
and a
I
Star...
ordered a pizza. $42. Was it 2 pizzas? No, it was 1.
That costs as much as like 4 2-person HelloFresh meals. And of course, cooking a meal kit is faster than waiting for a delivery. So I love their quick meals too. These are ones you can throw together in no time, like the honey mustard sausages with onion gravy. It was delicious. I just think it's less stressful having all of this handled for me. Plus, it's nice developing those cooking skills. Really good plus. So you can get all of that by going to HelloFresh.com and using code BELLULAR16 at checkout for 16 free meals plus free shipping. All right, check them out. Thanks to them for sponsoring. Let's go.
What website was it?
The year is 2024. Azeroth is in the first stages of being rebuilt. Anduin Wrynn has returned to reclaim his throne.
I fucking hate him.
But he can't step out of the shadows just yet. For the past 5 years, he has been traveling Azeroth in secret, dealing with his Shadowlands trauma. Now he is ready to...
Bro, he's the king. Oh, he's the king. You can't fucking just peace out. Like, you are the king. What are you doing?
return, but the kingdom is in turmoil. Elwyn is awash with bandits claiming to be a new Defias. Duskwood is plagued by necromancers with hordes of the undead. Redridge is no better, with the last bitter remnants of the Dark Horde penned in like trapped tigers. But what's worse is the den of snakes back in Stormwind City. The nobles who have enjoyed years of greater power while Tyrallion has been regent on the throne maybe have their own designs. Anduin, and of course us, adventurers, have to figure it all out, beginning the new King's Hand renown track.
I don't give a fuck what the story is, but they've got to reset the game. There's just too much shit. Like, I'm fine with that. That's fine. That's good. Yeah, okay, fine. You want to have the Defias Brotherhood come back again? Sure. The human heritage armor questline kind of implied that wasn't going to happen, but okay, whatever.
Passed through a Stormwind megazone with Matthias Shaw and Gan Greymane, stabilizing the kingdom and getting Anduin back on his throne.
Yeah.
This thing isn't a full speculation. Narratively, it's all stuff that essentially fits and will have to happen, including a few things that they've recently established. Like,
see, in my opinion, I think Anduin should have more of a role in the story like Medivh, where like he's kind of just like a watcher that's like aligned kind of more with the Alliance than the Horde, but like he's not like I don't think he can be like a main character, if that makes sense, because it's just that like there's so many weird things. Like how do you as a king just like abandon your kingdom because you like got mind controlled or some shit? Like after Varian got done being mind controlled, he came back to Stormwind and he's like, "What's up, boys? I'm back." Like it's a loser. Yeah, it's a pussy king. Like what is this? Soy king, yeah.
Of a new, different Defias Brotherhood. We just haven't seen most of this in the game yet. Greymane knows Anduin
The
is
problem with the Defias Brotherhood is the Defias Brotherhood existed in a time where Blizzard could write stories that weren't caricatures to real-life events. The Defias Brotherhood had some honest grievances with the Stonemasons Guild in Stormwind City. And so what did we do? We just fucking killed them. Fuck them. But you know what? There's... like, what stories are they going to do now that are, like, kind of relevant to real life in that way? I don't entirely trust them to do that. I don't, especially after I know they did that Alex Straza quest. Like, it's just weird. Like, what the fuck? They're not going to take risks, yeah.
On Azeroth, but that he doesn't want to be found. The Defias are back. Matthias Shaw has tangled with necromancers in Duskwood. Turalyon is a good, loyal man, but political intrigue and responsibility...
Turalyon's a joke. That's what he is. Turalyon is a fuck... He's always been a joke. This guy got fucking... Everybody thought he was going to be a badass the whole time. He looked like a badass, but he's a joke. He's a religious zealot, got his sword blocked by Illidan's hand. He's a joke.
Beyond, far beyond that of a warrior, may change his mind. After all... Anduin Wrynn abandoned his throne.
He did. Like, what the fuck? Like, why aren't we gonna talk? Like, bro, he just pieced out, and he's talking to Sylvanas, who just genocided one of his main fucking allies' city. Like, what, dude? What the fuck?
Without telling anyone. So, can anyone truly say that Anduin is fit to rule, especially after some of the more corrupting things that he's been through?
He should be like, as I said. You know what a character, it could be like Medivh, but you know an even better character that like Anduin should take the role of? Tyrion. Tyrion was like, yeah, he's part of the Alliance, but like really he's not. He's doing his own thing. He's off, you know, in his own adventure. Lannister?
So between
Tyrion Fordring, like he's out there in some random fucking place with a horse.
Azeroth.
And it's like, you know, if some crazy shit happens, you know, all right, he'll come help out. We got to beat the Lich King again. Okay, all right, let's go get him. And then after that, you know, do a little bit of shit, then he's back to doing he's back to the fucking house.
Short stories, grimoires, and key Dragonflight insights, we actually know a lot of what's going on back in the home regions of Azeroth. The only thing that we really added here was a basic narrative framing and a renown track, because at the end of the day, much of that is what we'd be doing. We'd be bringing the old world's lore up to date.
Yeah, we get stronger. Why don't we get this city? Why can't we go here? I've always hated Stormwind. I think this place is shithole. We should have got Lordaeron back in BFA.
And exploring it through modern dailies, events, world bosses, factions, rewards, and of course...
I respected Blizzard for doing this, by the way. I did. Burn down a tree? Okay. All right.
Campaign quests. Think about the amount that they've packed into each modern zone, like, say, the Onaran Plains. Layer over that the story that we know is developing in places like Stormwind, and the nuts and bolts of a revamp become extremely clear to us. Overall, it's a massive job. 40 zones. That's not including anything added since vanilla. But We do know what the gameplay would look and feel like, and we know what the story is. The size would make sense with dragon riding, after all.
Yeah,
I mean, just think about how much larger, say, the Azure span is than even multiple zones of the
Azure span is a great zone. I love it.
original game stitched together.
It's my favorite
With this
new
in
zone.
mind, then,
Actually, I actually like the Omaran Plains better. I like the vibe of it, especially with like the music. The music reminds me of like Warcraft 3.
let's check out the
It's a
three
bunch of like fucking big hairy centaur men that beat on drums.
clear roads to Revamp. Dragonflight has had a storm of patches, with even the 0.5 and 0.7 patches being rammed with content.
Otters.
And that has me excited for the future because it points us to the most pragmatic way to wrestle with the enormous task of a revamp, patch by patch. Think of it this way. Launch brings Stormwind, Orgrimmar, and their surrounding zones into the modern day. Each faction gets to dive into campaigns exploring what's going on in the home territories. Then the first patch hits, the Plaguelands and Hyjal. Let's kick off with a bit of faction tension.
That would be great.
Gilneas brushes up against a reformed Forsaken state. Night Elves, many of whom are still bitter, repopulate lands close to Orgrimmar's holdings. But the real beauty will be in filling out the rest of the world. Let's go back to
this looks amazing. Like, they have so many scenes and like stuff in the game that are so cool like this. I just feel like, again, there's just been so much in the game that has, like, I just feel like the game is so bloated, man. It's so bloated.
Plaguelands and see what the Silver Hand have been up to. Did you know, as an example, that they canonically, per the Exploring Azeroth books, have been trying to reclaim Stratholme? They haven't succeeded yet, which definitely does feel like some future content. Daily zombie hunts through the city streets, clearing out the catacombs underneath the city, like we did in 1007 Scara Vaults, building a foothold for the paladins that we expand as we work harder, eventually freeing the city. We also cannot forget the Lordaeron transmogs that we would get while we're at all of this.
Well, what about just we get Lordaeron? How about that? How about that? That'd be cool. Like, let's do that. Yeah, why don't we just have that happen? That'd be great.
Expand that out, the big Khazmodan patch. The pirate patch, following the pre-Other Side of Azeroth exploits of the Night Squall as he tries to gather together his epic pirate fleet. Now you've got content for Tanaris and Stranglethorn. What about the eternal war between the...
You should be able to be like a pirate. Like, if they ever did this, you should be able to be a pirate and swear allegiance to the Bloodsail Buccaneers and kill Horde and Alliance in war mode. Yeah.
Agram and the Gelkis. Pick a side and get stuck in. Open world PvP potential is huge in Desolace with bloody tokens all around. Then you have the 0.5 and 7 patches filling out zones.
I always love seeing this because it reminds me of Warcraft 2. Remember, like, you'd have those ogre mages that would just do like that. They would cast like Bloodlust and shit, and they would just like fucking attack so fast.
With mysteries like the Swamp of Sorrows, or checking back in at the Temple of Atal Hakar after the final defeat of Hakar in the Shadowlands, or maybe going to Ungoro Crater now that we know so much about the Titans bullshit. By the end of this expansion, you would have 4 raid tiers, new dungeons, seasons, and everything that you would expect, but you'd also have a totally revamped world. But even the Cataclysm had new zones, right?
Yeah, it did.
Is there scope for that as well? Well, it's time to check out the potential of a second road to Revamp.
Well, I think they should do that. They should add new zones for sure. But, like, it doesn't really... Like, what are you gonna do in the new zones?
Azeroth has just went through a time skip. From the end of Battle for Azeroth to the start of Dragonflight, 5 years had passed. We spent 2 in the Shadowlands, and then 3 passed off-screen. And while Lorthamar and Thalisra got married, not a great deal happened. If we follow the usual rule of an expansion lasting 2 years, then that time skip goes all the way up to 7 years by the time that we return from the Dragon Isles. Yes, 7 years since the fall of N'Zoth, and that feels significant. Steve Denuser directly addressed the time skip in a statement, and he made a point of saying that big events like the reclamation of Gilneas would be stuff we would see in-game, not locked behind a time skip or relegated to a book. Gilneas then is on the cards for the near future, but that's outside the scope of just the original revamp that I talked about. But it is part of the second most likely type of revamp, the Makeover Plus. One of the big pillars of our revamp video was the fact that...
See, like, I like the world of Azeroth. I think Azeroth is great. I don't even think that they need to do, like, a total revamp. Like, maybe this is going to be, like, me being, like, a boomer. But I think they should start with the revamp in Classic WoW. I think it should start, like, building up from Classic WoW, not from fucking Dragonflight. Wipe the slate clean. Start in Classic WoW, and then add in a few extra things, you know, every year or so. And in 3 or 4 years, you'll have an actual game. Vanilla WoW is BIS? Yes. No flying mounts? I don't think flying mounts are fundamentally bad. But, like, that's not the problem. Like, that's got nothing to do with what the problem is. Like, that's not it.
Many of the assets needed for the job already existed. You could say that WoD gave us Orc and Draenei stuff, that Legion gave us loads of Elven stuff, Borealis could perhaps be used as a basis to rebuild Stormwind. You'd have to change a few materials and things, but there's a lot of very powerful building blocks there. Dragonflight has Furbolgs, Centaur, we've had new gnolls, so many actually, new basic creatures. But hidden in the game files are HD remakes of basic stuff, like the Goldshire Inn.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Like, this is nuts. This would be great. Like, they have to revamp everything, number one. Also, like, a higher definition, like, higher fidelity version of the Goldshire Inn. Like, that's cool, for sure. But, like, I think the game, maybe this is a good way to say it. I think the game right now lacks a purpose. What is the purpose of playing the game? To complete the season, to obtain the FOMO items, and then to wait to do it again. Like, that's the way that I feel. Like, in Classic WoW, I felt like I always wanted to play the game, because and even in Burning Crusade and Wrath, is that I wanted to play the game because I would use what I earned from the game to get to the next level. Like, for example, in like BWL, I wanted to raid BWL because I knew AQ would come out eventually, and whenever AQ comes out, well, then I want to be ready to do Encourage, and so I want to make sure I've got all my gear ready for BWL. So, like, there's an actual progression in the game. Whereas, like, now, it's kind of like, here. Like, this is the way that I feel about the game. Let's imagine these are, like, steps. And in Classic WoW, this is, like, leveling. This is, like, pre-raid BIS. This is MC. This is BWL. This is, fucking, AQ. And this is Nax, right? So, like, you take steps. So, like, in order for you to... And, of course, people can get carried and shit like that, right? But for the most part... Like, you go from here to here to here to here to here. You see kind of what I'm saying? Like, that was the progression. And this is the same thing in Classic WoW 2. Or BW... it was the same thing in Burning Crusade. Same thing in Burning Crusade. A little bit the same in Wrath, but not as much. Is that what's killing Lost Ark? Well, yeah, you add too many steps, people get tired. That's why you have expansions. To reset the steps. This is the way the game is now. This is Season 1. You start off in Season 1. This is you have the best gear. This is Season 2. This is Season 2 when you have best gear. And that's the way that I feel playing the game. Maybe this is just a vibe check for me. But this is the way that I feel. Yeah, you're playing a patch, not an expansion. So steps should only reset per expansion, not patch? Yes. I think that you need to have... And also, I thought it was super cool... that you could use level 60 gear in Karazhan. I thought tier 4, tier 3 gear and Nax gear being usable and comparable to some tier 4 gear. Very fucking cool. I love that. But yeah, I mean, you can't have people using like Scarab Brooch and like Lich King, right? I mean, no, you don't want to have that. But it's cool to have it for like a little bit and then change it. But yeah, that's generally how I feel. Linear progression makes things stale. I don't really know how you mean by that, but hard to do it whenever gear is item level based nowadays. Gear was item level based even back in Classic WoW. Is that to avoid power creep? Seasons are resets in shorter intervals while expansions are resets in years. Yeah, I just don't feel good about I don't feel good about getting all my gear reset every 5 months or every 6 months. I just don't. I don't know what to say. Yeah, seasonal, like, it's too frequent. Difference is level 60. BIS level 60 gear was 90 item level, and TBC BIS was 110 to 120. Nowadays it's 30 item level gaps. Nah, see, you don't understand. Oh god. Okay, so let's talk about this. That's actually not true. Karazhan gear started at like item level like 110, and then heroic Kill Jaden gear like Thordile was 164. Then in vanilla WoW, you had their base gear from Molten Core was like level 60, item level 63, somewhere around there. And then the end gear from Nax was item level 90. And then in Wrath of the Lich King, the gear was 200 base, and it went all the way up to 284. And then in Cataclysm, it was 346 for heroic blue gear, and then it was 359 for epic gear, and then it went all the way up to 416. So you're right that it's a bigger number difference, but the proportion is the same. So like a 60 item level to 90 item level is a 50% bonus. So theoretically, a 1000 item level to a 1500 item level would also be a 50% bonus. You are way fucking stronger in Nax gear than you are in Molten Core gear. PoE resets in 4-ish months. People love it. What's so different here, though? Well, it's an MMO that you work towards more, what do you call it? You work towards more persistent goals. I would like to have a game that, like, my progress doesn't reset that often.
All that Elwyn Forest stuff.
More permanence,
They're the exact dimensions
yeah,
of what's
everything is
currently
effectively
in-game.
on one realm.
So
like
in the
an
most
eternal
basic
realm.
way, you could wholesale remake and replace some assets. You don't necessarily need to do a full crazy big revamp to just give the thing a facelift. Implementing those assets likely wouldn't be too hard, the likes of ground textures and foliage. You could pull that from Battle for Azeroth and other expansions. They obviously have a massive library of grass, shrubs, herbs, that sort of thing. It's a lot of work, but it is doable, and they've done it before. Just take a look at the Warsong Gulch and Arithai Basin updates. Those looked absolutely incredible, and perhaps that is what we could expect for a zone revamp done in the modern era. So, fill the whole thing with modern gameplay, factions, activities, call the job done. I mean, we saw new Forsaken Tabards without Sylvanas' mask. Tirisfal will look totally different post the Fourth War, and campaigns are just... I mean, the narrative potential is just waiting to be put into the game. There are so many dangling plot threads, like the CatDany who
what the fuck? This is a fucking guy. Where's he going? Why has he been here for so long? What the fuck is he doing?
Into the Barrens, the fact that Scholomance still has those necromancers, after the Lich King, and so many others. At that point, you could then turn into new big stories, patches dedicated to reclaiming Gilneas, checking out perhaps the Maghar and Frostwolves setting up in Winterspring. Or you could go a bit more out there, just continue the arc that they're building at the minute in Dragonflight. But of course do so back home. If nothing else, World of Warcraft desperately needs a new player experience that isn't confused. I think Chromie Time is a fine...
No, the reason why it's confused is because there's 50 billion things in the game. It's not because the game is... it's the fundamentals of the game. Like, there's all this, like, fucking bloat in the game. Like, Hex and Polymorph. Here's a great example. Hex you can move, Polymorph you can't move. Here, combine them. Make it the same thing. Fear and Horrify. Combine them. Make it the same thing. I don't want to hear about it. There's too much shit in the game. There's too many little fucking things you have to add into the game that, like, no, I completely disagree. Yeah, from the perspective of somebody that's played the game 15 fucking years. But who the fuck is gonna come into the game and want to learn all of that bullshit? Yeah, I understand the difference. Deathcoil was the first Horrify. I get it. But there's a new player? No. It's fucking complicated. This is why the game sucks. It's because they keep trying to pander to people that play their game professionally for 15 fucking years as they strangle the life out of it, trying to maintain this complexity so new players never even get a chance to enjoy the game in the first place. And now, guess what happens? Arena is fucking dead. Nobody wants to do it anymore because of how many fucking complexities are in the game. Everybody just spams solo shuffle. Like, nobody's even, like, I feel like a lot of people, like, I have never seen people less excited about WoW than right now. Because at least people used to be excited about not liking the game. Now people are just fucking tired. PvP is unplayable for new players. Well, you go into combat with a rogue, the rogue's got 20 debuffs. 20 buffs. What the fuck is this? What the fuck are we talking about? You go back and you look at, look. Classic, WoW, Warrior, rank 14. Look at this. Mark of the Wild, you've got the fucking, what is that called? Blood Fury, you've got the Trinket from AQ, and he's got 3 debuffs. It's fucking simple. You can easily understand what's happening on the screen. Anybody, even a person who's never played the fucking game before, there's not a million effects, there's one effect. There's one Frostbolt, and that's it. Then he goes over there, he hits him, he dies. That's it. And then you see the Frostbolt effect, he's blue, the Frostbolt effect is blue, it's obvious what's going on. And then let's go ahead and skip, and I just picked a random fucking thing. Alright, so he's gonna go kill the flag carrier, or he's gonna go defend the flag carrier. He jumps over, he hits that guy. What did he hit him with? One ability. There's not 17 different fucking procs and 18 different fucking numbers. No, there's one number. Oh, there are 2 numbers, actually. There's hamstring and there's the auto attack. It's that fucking simple. There it is. And then, okay, you get onto this guy. He goes to defensive stance, runs away, waiting to probably get out of combat so he can charge back in. Oh, he's just running away in general. Let's see here. Okay, you see? He's got fucking 3 debuffs. He's got Deep Wounds, Demo Shout, and Hamstring. Now let's look at Retail WoW. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Here. Can I just copy paste this? What the fuck is going on? What? Meanwhile, you got this. What's he got on him? He got Frostbolt. That's it. This is insane, dude. Fucking insane. These are 12 debuffs on one person. And you have add-ons to track this shit. Look at this. Look at all these buffs. These are just the buffs. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is this? What's happening? Who knows? This is a clean UI. Wait, like, look. What? This is the problem with the fucking game. Right here. This is nuts. I've never played the game before. What the fuck is going on? And you know, whenever I realized this problem, it was back in Legion. Whenever I was at BlizzCon live, and all of the fucking BlizzCon attendees were clapping together. Oh my god, the Rep Paladin's gonna die! The Rep Paladin had auto death save bubble. He wasn't gonna die. But nobody in the crowd even knew that. The people have no fucking idea what's going on in the game. Yeah, he had auto bubble. Mop had a dumb amount of buffs and debuffs too. Yeah, and I criticized Mop too. I thought that was a problem as well. I got a lot of shit for that, but I'm right. I went off on a tangent. But the point that I'm making is that this game is... it is impenetrable to a new player. The amount of knowledge that you need to have to even be slightly proficient in this game is just astronomical. And it's bad. It's also annoying, but you can try and hit one mob. Yeah, I mean, like, it's too much. Craziest thing about that screenshot is that he received a response from GM. Yeah, true. Check Vin Rookie video. He was talking about that. PoE's way worse. And what are they doing with PoE? Think about it. What are they doing about PoE? They're making PoE 2. That's right. That's a good idea, huh? Wow, look at that.
sensible thing to visit a past expansion, but the idea of a player spawning into Azeroth as a member of their faction and having a true, cohesive level up experience that doesn't remind them of the Cataclysm all the time,
Game is dying,
I think
it's not
that would
accessible
be
to new players.
actually vital to much of the game's long-term health. But it does bring me to the most unrealistic, the most hopium, or perhaps copium, which is the real big revamp.
Big Chungus, ooh.
This is the most unrealistic, high-risk option, but potentially the most reward, and that is a full remake. I'm not talking about retexturing, I'm talking about rebuilding the whole damn thing from the ground up. Full new geometry, massive. It would still look a lot like what we would expect, but with modern flight speeds,
I just think that what they should do is they should update the graphics of the game in the same way that PoE 1 to 2 is, right? It's a tremendous graphics update, but everything is basically the same style. It looks the same. I don't want to see them take World of Warcraft and turn it into Unreal 5, even if it looked photorealistic, because that's not what the game is.
Large view distances, just bigger. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be able to see, say, Sargeras' sword at the other side of Kalimdor, from the peak of Hyjal, even.
Because the Earth
One
is
of those things where the layout of those old zones doesn't make sense for the modern day view distances. Then you can get there in a couple of minutes, even less so if you're dragon riding. Azeroth feels small. Maybe it needs to feel big and new again. If there ever was to be a WoW 2, this is what it would be. And that's the thing. Do you have to do a WoW 2? A new game and call it WoW 2?
Yeah.
Or could you do this, which is pretty much also WoW 2?
They should do WoW 2 and then promise there's going to be PvE, then take it out.
The reason why it's at the end of this video is because it's extremely risky, it's absurdly a heavy lift, it'd be very hard. Much of it would work though. I mean, we do have zones like the Azure Span, with massive sweeping vistas, mountains, factions, mini biomes within them, and many huge structures. It feels massive in the way that Azeroth did all those years ago, and now they have better tools, so perhaps the likes of Duskwood...
Yeah, Azure Span is probably, like, Azure Span and the Omaran Plains are my two favorite zones. I think Waking Shores suck, Valdrakken sucks. I think there's another zone, maybe, I don't know, but I think that one sucks too. But yeah, it's like the two other zones are great. The caverns, I think they kind of, like, they're okay, but like they kind of suck.
At a level of spooky immersion previously thought impossible. There are huge risks though to a rebuild.
Cool.
How fondly do people remember the Cataclysm? Because, sometimes immature jokes aside, those zones were tonally odd compared to how vanilla Azeroth felt, and they were so tied into Deathwing that right now they don't make much sense. Dragonflight has done an awesome job at weaving smaller stories into a grand narrative whilst making them feel timeless and unique. So that focus on zone narrative and world building rather than fixing the timeline mid-Deathwing calamity is what we would...
Well, they gotta fix the problem with the narrative. I already showed the thing with, like, Alexstrasza putting her head on Nozdormu's shoulder. Aww. Compare that to fucking Thrall walking away after he beat the fuck out of Garrosh. Electrocuted that bitch, cheated, betrayed his his elders and his ancestors, fucking killed him. He just walked away, left his sword, left his axe right there. There it is.
Have to see it.
It's like there wasn't any pussy shit back in the game back then. There was never let me go find myself. Remember whenever Thrall did that? Everybody fucking hated it. And then he shaved his head bald. That was like his fucking, like it was a Britney Spears era of Thrall. Nobody wanted that. Nobody asked for that pussy shit. No.
A revamp like this.
It's a
Which
joke.
is really why the whole idea would be so damn exciting. 20 years of...
Bring back Illidan? Yeah, bring back Illidan. Absolutely bring back Illidan. Like, I tell you one thing, I said this before. You know, if Illidan was dating Tyrande, that tree would still fucking be there. And that's a fact. Yeah, bring back people like Illidan. And somehow, what he would have done would be so bad, people would see him as the bad guy. Because Illidan is a fucking asshole. Sarfang too? Yeah. Malfurion got soft. Malfurion is soft. He's a pussy. Malfurion is supposed to be the greatest druid of all time, and it's not even remotely close. He's supposed to be on par or even stronger than Illidan. And he's like, it is what, fuck, jeez. I messed up again.
past, and there is an opportunity to fill the world full of entirely new stories. Anduin's return, Dagran taking throne, and Casmodan, the clear seeds of tension in Lordaeron, whatever's going on with all those pirates getting together in Daenerys. Expand the world, literally make it bigger. Zones designed around modern principles, jam-packed with factions, content, and rewards, and things to get lost in. Build it entirely new, but make it feel old. That may be the ultimate form of revamp. Give us the thing that we can't fall in love with again. There are many rewards with the risk, and one of them is very relevant. No one wants a one-and-done revamp of the old world. I think people want a foundational structure to build the future of Warcraft on, because as good as the game feels at the minute, there seems to be storm clouds on the horizon, and I can't imagine anything that would reinvigorate Azeroth more than an era-defining rebuild that would truly say, now is the ultimate time to come back.
Somebody in chat went and they said, again, you shit talk Anduin, but Varian went full on emo, which caused Stormwind to almost completely collapse. No, Varian literally had his soul get split in two, and he forgot his own identity. And he became Logosh, a warrior gladiator who actually beat Garrosh in 1v1 combat. Varian beat Garrosh's ass. Straight up raw. So I don't want to hear about that. Then he combines his soul back together because of Anexia. And then he gets his soul back, and guess what happens? He shows right the fuck back, and he's immediately King of Stormwind again, picks up right away. Like he never was gone. Yeah, and then he dies to Gul'dan. He does die to Gul'dan, but Gul'dan is the most powerful warlock of all time. Yeah, that's fine. And he also destroyed a Fel Reaver and saved all of his friends. And he didn't really die just to Gul'dan. He died to all of the Legion together.
If you ever thought about WoW 2,
Gul'dan was no
it's pretty
joke.
much this. In terms of scope, making it larger would be a lot of work, but even compare the size of the Azure Span to, like, Kalimdor. Okay, not all of Kalimdor, but still, you actually look at the area of the Dragon Isles, and they are absolutely ginormous. They're, I mean, even by playable area, larger than Northrend. Really damn big. What would I expect? Honestly, I would say patch by patch, slowly, with somehow that being ingrained into the level up experience as well. I think whatever the quest content is, I think it would serve as a source of, say, renown for current characters, a story to play through, and it may also be the level up experience for some new characters. You know, clusters of zones done in batches. I think a complete remake is really not likely, but updating the continents in that way, it's a bit of hopium, but it's hopium that I think is not outside the realms of possibility. I mean, would it sell? Hell yes, it would sell. It would bring people back. It would tap into
anything for WoW would sell. Like, it doesn't matter. They bring out a new expansion, people are going to buy the expansion. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, for sure. But I do think that, I think they need to get back to the old types of stories. The good shit. Keep it simple. Yep. No more soy stories. No more feelings. If a character has to talk about how they feel, take it out.
Or love of Warcraft. Yes, it's not Illidan fighting demons, but I think it would hit people where they feel. So, that is my final word on the topic for now. There are interesting assets in-game. We've talked about those in the past, and some of the potential story. Now we've talked about how it may actually happen if it is to. So let me know what you think. A massive thanks to our patrons and members for supporting what they do. Of course, you guys, there's tons of content that is over there on the Patreon and so forth. So thank you for your support. With that said, see you next time.
Yep. I just, I mean, Belluar is, very optimistic. I don't know if I'm not, I just want to see them try to, like, just make stories like that are like just badass again. Like, I just want to see some badass shit happen. When you think about factions, there's a lot of people that hate the faction war, and for me personally, I think that's core Warcraft. I think that factions should be able to play with each other. I do think so. I think that you have to let people do that, because if you don't, and I understand why people think that you shouldn't have to. But you can't split the player base, because then the player base all just plays on one faction. It didn't work. Like, it was just bad for the game, man. Like, they tried it and it just didn't work. So it's like, you could talk about theoreticals all day, but at the end of the day, it didn't work. Like, they shouldn't allow like Alliance to go into Orgrimmar. Like, no, 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 I'm not about that. Metzen has to save us. I just think they need to add in more stories that are, like, brutal and aggressive, you know? That's the kind of stuff that I like seeing, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but fuck, I really wish it would.